Recently, a gentleman sent me some pictures of some used equipment that he purchased, and he was wondering how to hook it up. So today's video is a little different than normal, and basically what I'm going to be doing is running through the basic layout for a passive system. Now across the top, you'll see that you have your different inputs. Basically you have your microphone, and then you have the option of a laptop, CD players, a phone, an iPod, or a DJ controller, either with or without a laptop. Any of these can be used in any combination, it's your choice, and all of it gets plugged into your mixer. Now your mixer, depending on which one you have, has multiple inputs, and you also have a headphone jack so you can preview the music before you play it out through your main speakers. Now you'll notice coming out of the bottom of the mixer, I have the word out. Basically everything at the top is going in, and then everything at the bottom is going out. So you're going to use all your inputs going into the mixer, and then you're going to find your main outputs from the mixer, and they're going to be labeled either channel 1 and channel 2, or possibly left and right. For this example, I'm just going to use 1 and 2. From your mixer, this gentleman has an equalizer. Now this is optional. You don't have to use it, but if you want to, it's more than welcome to use it, and it does give you a better sound, but at the same time, it's one extra piece of equipment that you have to carry. So coming out of your mixer, you're going to use the mixer output, and you're going to plug those directly into the equalizer input. Again, channel 1 and channel 2. From your equalizer, you're going to use the equalizer outputs. Channel 1, channel 2, you're going to come from the output into, in this case, a crossover. You're going to look for the inputs on the crossover. Now I'm not going to get into the way you set everything on your crossover, but a good rule of thumb, somewhere around 100 Hertz is where most people use as a crossover point. Basically everything below 100 Hertz is going to go to your subwoofers, and everything above 100 Hertz is going to go to your main speakers. Now depending on how you set things up, the crossover is also an optional piece, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now here's where it gets a little confusing. When you come out of your crossover, you'll notice that we went in with 2 channels, left and right, or 1 and 2. Now your crossover is splitting your frequencies into low and high. So you're going to have channel 1 low and high. You notice here, this one I have is high, this one I have is low. Channel 2, you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have low and high, and it does split, as you see here, 2 separate wires. So you're going to have 2 wires going into the crossover, and you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 wires coming out of the crossover. Now the next thing in the chain is your amplifiers. In this case, this gentleman has a series 402 and a series 602. The 602 is much larger and will be used to drive the subwoofers. 402 is going to be used for the main speakers. Now coming out of the crossover, here's where you have to pay attention. We're going to run the highs output from channel 1 into one of the inputs for the 402 amplifier. We're going to grab the high frequencies from channel 2, and they're also going to go into that same smaller amplifier. High frequencies going to go to the small amp. Now we're going to take the lows from channel 1, and we're going to run them down here to the bigger amplifier, in this case the 602 series. And we're going to take the lows from channel 2, and we're also going to run those into the 602 amplifier. Now the reason we do that, the bigger amplifier is for your bass. Bass takes a lot more power to move a bigger speaker. Then when you come down, the next thing in the line are your speakers. You're going to have your smaller speakers, which are for your high frequencies, and you're going to have your subwoofers for your lower frequencies. Now, as I have marked here, subwoofers are optional. Depending on the size of your crowd, depending on the size of your venue, you may or may not need them. you might only need one instead of two. These are your options. So when you come out of your amplifiers, coming out of the 402, which is the smaller amplifier, you're going to look for the outputs. The outputs on the smaller amp, channels 1 and 2, are going to come down here and go to your smaller speakers. Channel 1, channel 2, or left and right, whatever you want. The two outputs from your 602 amplifier are going to come down here and go to your two subwoofers. Or in the event that you're only running one, just ignore this one here and just run one wire from the output directly to your sub. Now, your options, if you decide to cut out some of these optional things. Let's say we start with a laptop, we run it directly to the mixer, we come down, we skip the equalizer, we skip the crossover, and we just go to one of the amplifiers. You can use either one. Then you can go directly to your two speakers. This works if you're not planning on using any subwoofers. That would be the simplest setup you could possibly have with the equipment that you have. Would it work? Yes. Everything would run full range and it would sound good. However, you're going to lose a lot of your bass. Your main thing to keep in mind if you want to use the subwoofers is you have to use the crossover. That's what splits you between the high frequencies and the low frequencies for your two different amps and your two different kinds of speakers. So that's your rundown there. Now, I'm going to take a look at what he actually sent me. We're going to start with the mixer. I'm going to assume you know what a laptop, microphone, and headphones look like, so we're going to start with your mixer. Across the front, these are your faders for each individual channel. All these knobs in here adjust each channel. And at the very top are your inputs. Over here on the right is your master output. And I believe this over here to the far right is your master volume. Not 100%, but 99% sure. There's your mixer. Now, the main one I suggest is using the big XLR outputs here in the top right as you have it hooked up, which you can see it right there. Again, those are XLR outputs. Now, the next thing in the line is going to be your equalizer, which would be this one right here. This is a 31 band EQ, which is complete overkill, but still not a bad idea. So let's find the back of that. And basically on the back of your equalizer, you'll see you have channel 1 input and output, channel 2 input and output. Both of them have XLR for either input and output, and in the center here you'll see they have 1/4 inch input and output. So you can use either one. I do not recommend using both. But here, this one is marked as channel 2. This one is marked as channel 1. So again, left and right, 1 and 2 doesn't matter. The next thing that we discussed would be your crossover. So we're going to find the picture of that. And this would be your crossover right here. They call it the DBX234. And the back of it looks like this. I'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see the different ones. Again, you'll notice here at the top it's marked channel 2, channel 1. You want to start with your input. Now you're going to come out of your equalizer and go directly into right here where it's marked input. From there, you're going to do a channel 1 input over here, and you're going to do channel input number 2 right there. Then you're going to come out and you're going to use the high and the low. You're not going to use the mid. As you can see right there, it says not used. And that's based on the fact that right here, we're going to do a stereo two-way. So this button should be up. This button here should be pressed down. Notice the picture right there. This LF sum, I have no idea what it is, so I'm just going to skip over that and assume that we go with button out, which says normal. Repeat over here on the right for channel 1. You're going to use your highs and you're going to use your lows, and you're going to have the buttons set the same way here in the center, so it's automatically going to go. This here with the crossover, you have a choice between 1x and 10x. Leave it out for 1x. Same thing over here. That's your crossover. In the front, you're going to see a whole lot of different knobs on it. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to set that for approximately 100 to 120 hertz. And I'm not the guy to explain that to you because there's a whole lot of knobs here and it'll take forever. Basically just set it up, aim for 100. You got gains, volume controls, inputs, outputs, a lot of stuff there. Start with them low and just bring them up slowly until you start to hear some noise. That's a picture of an RCA cable. That's a picture of a 1/4 inch. Now the next thing in line, we've come out of the crossover and we're going to go into your amplifiers. Now I didn't get good pictures of the back of the amps. A little shaky here. But over here, you've got your inputs. Input 1 and input 2. And down on this one here, I'm going to assume behind those wires, we've got input number 1 and input number 2. So again, the top amp is your 402. The bottom amp is your 602. Over here to the right, you've got all your outputs for your speakers. These are a little hard to show. I'm not sure. It looks like he's using banana plugs there. And I also see the remnants of possible some Speakon cables. It's tough to tell. But you're going to come out of these into your speakers. So on the right, the top, those two are going to go to your 2 small speakers. These down here at the bottom are going to go to your big speakers. Again, it's kind of hard to see what he's got going on there, but I think you should be okay. Now on the back of your speakers, it's got multiple inputs, and it almost looks like one is a 1/4 inch and the other one appears to be a Speakon. I don't know what cables he gave you, but basically you want to use one of the two. You don't want to use both like you have it hooked up here. That will create problems for you. That's your top cabinet. Assuming there's a picture of your subwoofer here. And again, you've got 2 of them hooked up. You're not going to need both. It's one or the other. That's as much as I can give you. I can tell you right here, this is a separate mixer. This one works exactly the same as the first one, except it's formatted a little differently. Personally, you might like it, you might not. This is the main EQ. It's a much better EQ, but it's not quite as easy to use. That's the back of your crossover. Those are XLR cables or microphone cables. It's exactly the same thing. They are interchangeable. That is for effects. I would not worry about that right now, if ever. That is your controller for your lights. Again, wouldn't worry about it right now, if ever. That is also for recordings and effects and stuff like that. Probably won't ever use that either. And we're back to the EQ. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Again, this is John with Day and Night DJs, helping you out on a passive system, dual amplifiers.